Welcome to Rock Solid Rig. In this video, we are going to show you how we take a majority of what you see in this shot here and pack it all up into our Jeep. This is something that we have had lots of experience on, and we hope that you are able to gain some knowledge or some insight into what works for us and be able to use some of that in your own traveling. As always, we appreciate your support, and if you haven't already, make sure you click that like, share, and subscribe button. It lets you know whenever we've dropped new content. And let's go ahead and show you how we're able to manage to get all of this inside our 2015 JKU. There are two types of totes that we tend to take with us. The first is the black tote, which is called our camping tote, and the second tote is a clear one, which we call our food tote. These two items are vital to our ability to pack the way that we do, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about each of these so that you have a better idea of why they're so important. Space is precious in your camping tote, so you want to make sure that you are pre-planning how you're going to pack this. And I'm going to show you what we do so that way you have an idea of how to do it. We got this from the Container Store. So it's got wheels like you can see right there. Handle makes it really easy to carry. And then it has clasps that also help to seal this in. So we've had this out in the rain and just downpour on the beach, everything, and it has held up really, really well. So the first tote that I'm going to talk about is kind of a general sort of container. So what we do is we pack up these small ones and then we put those in this container here. So that way we can just pull out these separately if we need to. So the first one is going to be more of like an essentials sort of box. So toilet paper, we always want to make sure we have some of this on hand. You never know if you're going to be somewhere that has some. A lighter for those fire starters, and then we keep sunscreen, bug spray, things of that nature in here. Make sure you're checking the expiration date on those bottles of sunscreen because they do expire, and then basically you're going out with no protection. And then the other thing that we have, like I said, fire starters. If you can't find any fire starters, or if you run out of these, which I have done, you can use duct tape. You just take it out, roll it up, and then that will help to be a fire starter. I've done that before. You can also use this to repair canopies, tents, things like that, if there's anything that you need to repair at the time. We also keep paracord in here as well in case we need to tie down any tents, or canopies. And then we have extra stakes in here. And I just broke the zipper, but you know what, that's real life. So you guys are gonna watch me struggle as I try to open this. Obviously we'll have a different bag after this, but basically you want to make sure you have extra tent stakes. These can be used for canopies, things of that nature. And then we also have tie downs because we go to places that you are not allowed to let your dog free roam. And so we use this to stake down the dogs so they have the freedom to move around without us having to be right there on them. And then we also carry dog bags because you want to make sure you clean up after yourself. And then you'll see these little containers in here, and this just helps to keep the moisture out as much as possible. So this is similar to what you'd find in a container that you ordered offline that is going to keep all of this dry. So we pop a couple of those in there as well. The second box that we tend to pack, and I apologize, our boxes are dirty. I'm actually getting them ready for our trip that we're going on. But the other box that we have in here is our quote-unquote electronics box. And basically what we put in here are anything that's rechargeable, that's like a light. So we'll use this in our tent when we go tent camping. And then we have a Bluetooth speaker, and we usually connect that we rotate out people's music as we do that. And then we've also got just various lights and things of that nature. We carry around a battery operated one as well in case we don't have access to an electrical outlet. And then sometimes we'll just pop in cables that we frequently use with our Jackery, which we do take with us as well, and we tend to also put that in our tote. So basically what you want to do is you just want to utilize this space as much as you possibly can, and one of the ways that we have found that works for us is by putting everything in smaller boxes. So this is our electronics tote. Now we try to utilize this space as much as we can, so we'll pack as much stuff as we possibly can in here. Those are batteries. I didn't show those to you in that last clip, but that's okay. That's for the battery operated stuff. But we want to use all of this space. So what we do is we pack in stuff like an emergency cone. So for this thing, it's battery operated. You just press the button and it can flash. So we've had repairs on the side of the road before that we've needed something like this, and it helps people to see you. So this is something that we generally pack in here. The other thing that we pack in here is for our radios. So we take the Jackery with us, and this large radio charger allows us to take our cruise radios and just plug them in here, and then we plug this into the Jackery and we can charge them all up. In general, we try to get extended batteries for the radios that we use, so that way we're only having to charge them once per trip. But this thing is really awesome. It's done a really great job, and it has a way that you can actually hook it into a vehicle. So if you're looking at something for like overlanding or something like that, then you can use this and it will work out for you. So this is something else that we pack in here. We don't generally take this with us if it's raining, but these are solar lights. So we use these when we go to the beach. And these are really awesome. You can just kind of scatter them around your tent, your campsite. It really helps with kind of building a barrier of your stuff next to somebody else's, especially on the beach. So we use these a lot. You can buy a whole entire box of these for like $5. And then these are really good to have. So this is another item that we will generally just like pack away in here and then pull them out and use them as needed. Now, all this stuff that we're packing here, we change it out according to what we plan on doing for that trip. So if you look over here, this is a food tote. We're going to talk about that in a second. We actually have extra totes that we store all our stuff in. And then when we're not using things, so like that's for seasonal stuff, that's for seasonal stuff, that's for just extra stuff, then we'll put those in there and then we'll pull them out as we need them. That way we're not having to keep everything in here and then figure out how to take stuff that we're not using and things like that. So I'm going to keep going. Like I said, we're going to talk about the food tote next, which is really important. But pack as much stuff as you can in here. Linens, you know, pack your linens in here, pillows, things of that nature. We have our stuff just packed to the brim on here. And whenever we close this up, thankfully it has the latches. We can generally pack this up a little bit more, and then it all squishes down when we put the lid on it. What you saw before was our food tote after we had just thrown everything in it and didn't organize it. So whenever we're organizing our food tote, we try to think really hard about what we're bringing, what everybody else is bringing. And so we tend to coordinate with everybody, so we're not overlapping a lot of stuff being brought. So some of us will bring plates, cups, things of that nature. But basically, the food tote is where you can house any cooking utensils that you might need, any like cookware that you might use. So this is a collapsible set that we have, and it comes with a kettle in it. But you just try to organize this as best as you can with as much stuff as you can. So some of the things that we tend to take with us every single time are our collapsible cookware. And then we have a propane bottle, and then we also have a butane bottle that we will take if we take our butane burner. But if we're taking the propane burner, then whatever fuel source you have, make sure you've got that as well. And then this is for that cooktop, and that is for our Dutch oven, which this is as well. This is really great. These help you to quickly clean up your Dutch oven without having to worry about reseasoning it or anything like that. So we can just use this, have one single pot of food, pop these out, and then put them in the trash bag, so that way we can have a clean Dutch oven to use. So some of the other things that we like to keep in here are we keep hand soap, and then we also keep dish soap. So these are two things that we like to keep. I highly recommend anything that you have that's liquid, put it in a bag. You won't regret it. I know it's going to suck trying to go through and buy a bunch of bags, but you know, you can get these relatively inexpensive, and it helps save having everything spilt in here. So we tend to do some sort of soaps. And then, as you can see, we've got a towel down here. We usually take a couple of those. Plus, we generally take paper towels because we can use these to clean stuff up, and then you can toss them in the fire and burn them afterwards. So that's really good. And then we also keep aluminum foil in here as well. You can do baked potatoes and things of that nature on there. So you can buy these on Amazon, and these are measuring cups, and you can pop them in and out. And we use these to measure our dog's food, and then also to measure out water when we need to. The other thing is a scrub brush of some kind. We usually take this because it will dry quicker than if you had a sponge. We've taken a sponge a couple times, and it just got really gross and nasty and just smelled afterwards. But this, if you leave it out, it can dry. You can shake it off and get it relatively, you know, demoisturized. So that way it's not smelling like the other one. Just like those, you've got these collapsible measuring spoons that you can use here. We use really anything, like we can get this at the dollar store. We use really anything that is inexpensive, easily replaceable, so that way if something happens to it, it's not going to be a huge loss on our end when it comes to the cooking utensils. So you know, you can get this for $1. You can get these for relatively inexpensive. You can get this for relatively inexpensive. For the cooking stuff like this, that's where we tend to go cheaper. When it comes to the camping stuff overall, we tend to go for the more expensive stuff because you buy once, cry once. That's basically the way that we see everything, except for the cooking stuff, because the cooking stuff is something that no matter how well it's built or how much you spend on it, a sponge is more likely going to stink and be gross regardless of whether or not you bought it for $5 or for 50 cents. So and then we have a storage bag that we have where we put everything in, and then we also have salt and pepper containers that we put in here. Now this is just what we had. There are some specialized salt and pepper containers that are made where it won't let moisture in, it will be spill resistant, things like that. But we just had this, we got this for free from a store we went to, and so we just use this because it will, when we're done with it, it'll roll up, and then it doesn't take up much space. And then it also has this kind of strap that allows us to just kind of either you can use this as like an apron, or you can hang it off of something. So that's why we tend to take this. And then a couple different personal preferences here. So you can, whenever you are going out to eat or going to the store, you can grab a couple of these and keep them in here. Or you can go buying them at the store route. Or if you are wanting to reuse and just use the same thing over and over again, then make sure you have the washing capability, and then you can buy some foldable silverware as well. And then the other thing that we like to keep in here is a bag like this. So in here we have other Ziploc bags, we have trash bags, we have just regular like store bags in case we need something small, and then we have gloves because you never know when you're going to need gloves when you're cooking. And this is a really great thing to have on hand because you never know when you're going to need these items, or if you're going to run out as a group. Having extra of this stuff is great. So, you know, if somebody says, hey, I brought trash bags, then, you know, I would still bring trash bags because you never know how many you're going to end up needing. The other thing that I recommend, and this is a very poor example, but this is just what I have on hand, is an oven mitt of some kind. So every time that we use the Dutch oven, or we try to cook over the fire, which that's what that grate right there is for as well. So we have the Dutch oven, and then we have a grate that we can set on top of the fire to cook on as well. You want something to be able to move it around, and this is one that you can use. Or if you have the Dutch oven, something like this will help to get the lid off. But just make sure you're really cautious, because I have burnt myself and multiple people burnt themselves because they hadn't thought about that.
We have a specific routine in which we follow when packing the Jeep. So as you can see here, the first thing that we do is we tend to put in our camping chairs, and we utilize the space that's between the roll bar and the window as much as possible. After we pack the chairs, we tend to pack our tent. And as you can see here, we have the Gazelle T4. We also carry a Gazelle T8 that we own, and these two always go in the middle. Once we have that packed in, we put the cooler in and strap it down. We do not take it out, it stays there. And then we put the totes in. Once we have the totes in, what we do is we utilize the space that's next to the tent. So we will pack anything from our sleeping pads to shoes to charcoal that we're using for the grill. And our recovery bag always stays up at the top, so it's easy for us to manage. And the reason why is because our dogs sleep with us, so we use the blanket that we are going to actually put on our cots and lay them down here for the dogs so that they are nice and comfortable. We also put our tool bag and any sort of extra things that we need to access quickly right there in front of our black camping tote. And then we utilize the space on top of it for things like our canopy, for our dog's travel bag, for our camping cots. And then as you can see in the background here, we also utilize the space that's on top of the cooler. We hope you found this video useful. If you've got any tips and tricks yourself, make sure you throw them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Click that notification bell so you know what's happening next. And until next time, just keep on Jeeping, folks.
Get him, Bailey, get him! You running out of steam?